There's a good chance that you've heard of the main offender of today's video, the simple but effective over-the-counter drug known as Tylenol. Branded as a headache and pain-relieving product, Tylenol was first introduced in 1955 by McNeil Consumer Healthcare, a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson, since their acquisition in 1959. After its introduction into the over-the-counter marketplace, it quickly gained a positive reputation for being easy to swallow and effective for its intended uses. However, in 1982, all of that acquired goodwill came crashing down in one fell swoop, after an incident totally out of its manufacturer's control. Early on the morning of September 29, 1982, a 12-year-old Mary Kellerman from a suburb of Chicago told her parents that she was experiencing symptoms of a common cold. In response to her runny nose and sore throat, they gave her one extra-strength Tylenol capsule that, unbeknownst to them, was laced with a highly poisonous and deadly potassium cyanide. Unfortunately, Mary is dead by 7 a.m., a daughter and child ripped from her family entirely too soon, seemingly without any concrete reason or motive behind it. That same day, a 27-year-old postal worker named Adam Janis of Arlington Heights, Illinois, suffered what those around him believed to be a massive, out-of-the-blue heart attack. His brother Stanley, age 25, and his sister-in-law Teresa, age 19, rushed to his home to console their loved ones in the tragic and sudden turn of events. Both of them experienced throbbing headaches, a common result of an immense amount of stress. They both took a Tylenol extra-strength capsule from the same bottle that Adam had used earlier that day. Stanley died that night and Teresa followed 2 days later. The cyanide capsules had claimed 3 more young victims. Over the next few days, 3 more deaths occurred seemingly out of nowhere. 35-year-old Paula Prince of Chicago, 35-year-old Mary McFarland of Elmhurst, Illinois, and 27-year-old Mary Weiner of Winfield, Illinois. All 3 had taken a Tylenol capsule shortly before their untimely demise. It was at this point that investigators connected the dots between these strange deaths and the Tylenol, which at the time was the best-selling over-the-counter pain reliever sold in the United States. McNeil Consumer Products, the manufacturers of the drug, immediately took an active role with the media in ensuing a massive recall and strict warnings against using Tylenol as a result of these 7 deaths. They recalled every bottle of Tylenol in circulation, which was more than 31 million individual units. More poisoned capsules laced with cyanide were discovered in the Chicago area, but fortunately they were still sitting harmlessly on store shelves. McNeil Products and their parent company Johnson & Johnson offered a reward for anyone with information leading to the apprehension of the individual or group responsible for poisoning their products. They also offered replacement capsules to those who followed the recall and sent back their pills. The case was confusing. It was quickly established that the cyanide lacing occurred after the bottles of Tylenol left the factory, and they were still on store shelves. Someone in the Chicago area, for whatever reason, had carefully taken the bottles off the shelves, opened many individual capsules, and meticulously laced them with the highly deadly cyanide, before returning them in a state that made them appear untampered with. To this very day, the perpetrators of this crime have never been found. One opportunistic man named James Lewis claimed to be the Tylenol killer and wrote a ransom letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop lacing the pills on store shelves. After a long investigation, it was determined that Lewis actually lived in New York and had 0 link to the Chicago events. Regardless, he was charged with extortion and sentenced to 20 years in prison as a result. He was released early in 1995 after serving 13 years of his sentence. There were follow-up copycat poisonings involving both Tylenol and other over-the-counter medications in the late 1980s and early 1990s, but they were never as deadly as the original 1982 Chicago events. Theories about the unknown suspect's motives have been discussed at length, but it's ultimately up to interpretation. Many believe it was just a miscreant who wanted to cause as much chaos as possible. Prior to the 1982 deaths, Tylenol had a market share cresting 35% of all over-the-counter pain relief solutions. Within a few weeks after the incident, the number dive-bombed down to less than 8%. McNeil Products and Johnson & Johnson would have to regain consumer trust, despite the fact that there's no outright error on their end that had caused the situation. As a result, they developed new product protection methods to ensure such an event wouldn't reoccur. They introduced a new tamper-proof packaging which included foil seals and other packaging features that made it obvious if someone had altered the medication before use. These innovative packaging solutions became the industry standard for all over-the-counter medications. Alongside this, they introduced price reductions in a newly formulated design of their pills called the caplet. This caplet was still easy to swallow but was far harder to open up and lace compared to their previous version. Within a year and after a significant investment of more than $100 million, Tylenol's consumer trust slowly rebounded. Their sales increased as their messaging to the public at large was wholly transparent and their efforts to improve their product were made clear. The entire situation is now commonly used as a case study in business schools worldwide. 1 year after the incident in 1983, U.S. Congress passed what was named the Tylenol Bill, making it a federal offense to tamper with consumer products. Years later, in 1989, the Food and Drug Administration established federal guidelines requiring manufacturers to make all over-the-counter products tamper-proof. The 7 young lives claimed in the fall of '82 were a horrific tragedy unlike anything before it. As a result of an incident that had shocked the nation, new standards and practices were adopted to ensure a higher degree of safety when dealing with products that millions ingest on a daily basis. What do you think the murderer's motive was? Was it really someone who just wanted to cause as much chaos as possible? Or did they perhaps have a personal vendetta against the drug company itself? Let me know your thoughts down below. Also, remember to let me know if you have any suggestions on future videos, even stuff outside of the typical mystery video. If you would like to see something specific, just let me know. I love reading your comments and I appreciate your support. Thanks so much for making it to the end of this week's video, and I hope to see you back here next week with another one.